Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are personal and do not necessarily represent the views of Affinity Xtra.
Yeah, people, this is your boy here, Roger Moore, on Affinity Xtra, celebrating us music of black origin, but here on a show called Ideology. Ideologees is being hosted by my colleague, Mr. Mark.
Co-hosted.
Listen, it's not co-host. He's the main host. He's the main guy. He's the main guy behind it. Listen, man, I'm just here as a sighting because somebody else can take my spot. But listen, the main host is the main driver for this show, because at the end of the day, so I wouldn't do this show myself personally. So he is the host. He's the main guy behind this, and the mindset behind this going into 2025 now. And it's really to look at ideologies, looking behind why people say things, why people do things, how he's looking underneath the surface of a lot of things that we see floating around on social media and so on.
Because at the end of the day, and will be a recurring theme, I'll keep banging on this till heaven comes.
Gone.
We are humans and we need to understand each other. We need to, even though we have different perspectives. We are humans. We usually, even though we think different and have different ways of thinking. We have needs and wants, and pretty much they're similar. And sometimes we just have a different way of going about it. And
we've got two different opinions. Don't get twisted.
We go back and forth on WhatsApp. Trust me.
Listen, guys. You know, we're not going into the same booth when it comes to. We're not doing it. We're not ticking. I don't think we'll be ticking the same ticks when it comes to voting anyway. But the good thing about it, it's the beauty of it, is that we can sit in the same space. And I think this is the problem with a lot of our, and it goes to our churches, because churches have split up because of different opinions, and we're encouraging that you can have different opinions and still work together for a common cause, which is beyond our personal opinions and our personal perspectives. Our common cause is Jesus Christ.
And I call that agreeing to disagree in an agreeable way. Yeah. And so, Happy New Year, 2025.
Happy New Year, my people, man. Happy
so
New
grateful
Year.
to be alive.
Amen.
Thank you for, once again, tuning in to the show Ideologies. I hope you are enjoying it. Today, we start this year with a very, very big subject that right now is the main topic across our news bulletins and across our social media platforms.
Yeah.
And that is the issue of something that has been ongoing, but now has been brought to light and has been the main headline, which is what the government is doing about grooming scandals across the countries, particularly like say places like Oldham. So what we're going to do is first of all give you the context, and then part two we'll be talking about the ideological undercurrent going on in this story. So
that's good.
Roger and guys, what's happening is there has been a grooming scandal which involves British Pakistani Muslim men grooming young white girls. Very sensitive subject. And this has been something that a lot of people have described as something systemic and something that needs to be dealt with. The current government has been criticized for not agreeing to forming a national inquiry to bring the perpetrators to justice. The defense of this decision that I've heard from the Prime Minister at Prime Minister's Question Time is that to initiate a national inquiry, which means that we will wait for the outcome of that inquiry by 2031, and the government is intending to get to the perpetrators as soon as possible. So what the government have decided is we're not going to form a national inquiry, that the investigation will be locally based. But here's the problem. There has been quite a lot of reporting and investigation that the police have not really dealt with this because of a myriad of factors. One of the factors being is that this issue that the police, there's this idea that the police are scared of dealing with this because it will spark racial tensions within our multiracial society. And whereas this is a serious issue, racial tensions is a genuine concern. I think we saw last year what happened in Southport, with what happened at the mosques there and stuff like that. So racial tensions is an issue on of itself, something to be aware of, considering the nature of our multicultural society. But on the other hand, apparently in a bid not to spark tensions, the police they've been criticized for not doing the job because they don't want to spark racial tensions. The Conservative Party, the leader of the Conservative Party during question time criticized the Prime Minister for doing so. But fair to the Prime Minister, he said in turn that the Tories have been in power for 14 years and there was no mention of a national inquiry. So this might look like political opportunism from the Tories. They're like, hey, this is something that they're jumping on the base where it's getting battered, not only by sections of the media, but even Elon Musk, of all people, the tech billionaire, owner of Twitter, is really guns blazing on Twitter and criticizing the British government and even accusing Starmer's government of being complicit with these crimes. Okay. Another thing that I want to bring to the twist in this context is Jess Phillips, who is, I think, also an MP here in Birmingham, is the safeguarding minister. Cool. She, while she was in opposition, while Labour was in opposition, was a vocal opponent against addressing the issue of violence against women and girls, and rightfully so, an issue that has to be dealt with. But however, she seems, now that she's in office, she is deemed as a hypocrite for stating that this should not go into a national inquiry and leaving the investigations to the local authorities to sort this out. But there has been much investigation by news journalists as well as prolific individuals such as Tommy Robinson. There have been much documentation, video documentaries even about how
Tony's
the police are not.
He's
not been in it for years.
Because the thing is, Tony's as mentioned is from when Conservatives have been in charge. So he's not no Conservative Labour thing for him. That's part of his I suppose his his mandate for when he justifies his speeches and stuff. That is part of a young white girls being groomed and it's very Islamophobic, because it's amazing how the people can look at someone's skin tone and know what faith they are a part of just because of their skin tone, because everybody said it's about Islam, but I don't know if all of them are Muslims, you know what I mean? And again, another thing is, does the majority of Muslims stand by that? So if there is a child being abused in a Christian context, in terms of within a church, and nothing gets underneath the carpet, we've seen it happen time and time again. You know what I'm saying? Are we saying that we are complicit and we all do that? No, we don't all do that. It just means that the powers that be never put their foot down and dealt with that issue within a safeguarding issues within our religious spaces in our churches. So it's very hypocritical. And what I will also hit out about is that this is something that I remember from my teenage years being mentioned and watching documentaries from my early 20s.
This very issue.
Okay. So this has not been nothing new. These have happened in areas, we heard about the Watchdale case, but there's been them panorama shows. So this is not a scenario which is so the only thing I would say against Labour is that I would do a national inquiry because the local inquiries have proven to be unsuccessful and riddled with something wrong because nothing has happened with the local inquiries for a long time, unless I'm privy to some information to say that even when them Panorama cases came, Panorama, I'm not saying it was Panorama, but these news, these interviews and this came to light over a decade ago. Before YouTube was really a thing for media, you would watch, I remember watching programs about this on TV. The local inquiries have had a good 15 to 20 years to deal with this. Yeah. And haven't done nothing about it.
We still haven't got to the
bottom of it. And for me, it's not about Islam. It's about men that are, and this is the thing is now, just because you look a certain way doesn't mean that you are. It's like in my football team, I got Ghanaians in my football team, Ghanaian players. People would assume because Ghana, they see Ghana as a Christian nation. Yeah, you know what I mean? My Ghanaian, every Ghanaian up to a year ago that I met, Christian, full stop. Every Ghanaian ever, yeah, not many, but you know me. I'm not in no Ghanaian belt of loads of people. But in my football team, every Ghanaian in my team, majority of the Ghanaians in my team are Muslim.
Yeah, I mean Mohammed Kudus is Ghanaian, and he's some player.
So exactly. So, but the thing is, that's the thing now. It's like, and people assume that Nigerians are Christian, but we know that there's a lot of Muslim. If you've been to Nigeria, there's a lot of. So for me, it's a case of sometimes we have. I think we can make there's nothing wrong because we all do it, bro. We have part of life is you make blanket statements, yeah. Like for example, I'll say blanket statements that Kenyans are this way of type of people, blanket. But you know, individually, there's nuances to it, yeah. So if I turn around and say that for what I see on TV, Kenyans are a tall, dark-skinned people and whatsoever, and very tall people, you'd be going, hold on a second, what tribe are you seeing? You've seen the version that you see on TV is not the majority, but then when I see Kenya in real life, not on TV, y'all look like more from Zimbabwe than you do look like from Kenya. So it's like, hold on a second, so which are the Kenyans on TV and not the Kenyans that I see? I mean, so it's a case,
and that's due to maybe not having sufficient information. That's based on the information that you have, which clearly is not all the information.
Yeah.
And we will get into the themes, but misinformation is one of the themes here, I think, in this story. I want to add a little bit more to the context before we get into the ideologies analysis. Keir Starmer, before he got into the political arena, was chief prosecutor. He was a director of public. He was a director of public prosecutions, and he has defended his record for trying to bring this grooming people, grooming individuals into justice. And he says that he cares about this. He understands that there are many people who are pleading for a national inquiry. He's saying, so if you were to believe the best out of an individual, you would take what he says as genuine, that to do a national inquiry will take years, which means that we won't hear the outcome till 2031. However, those who think that there is a slight agenda would suggest, like say, the GB News broadcaster when she was interviewing Wes Streeting, saying that perhaps they are kind of walking around this because the Muslims, by and large, vote for the Labour Party, and so they need to be careful as to navigate because they do not want to upset the Muslim voters. And I think we've painted the context quite a bit, and I think it's now at this juncture that we now get into the ideological themes at play. So in no primary order, I'll just tell you what I have here. Number one is I think.
Can I comment on each one of you after each one you talk about?
Of course.
I'll tell you what you're the
co-driver here. You are the co-driver here. So yes, of course. So we'll get into We'll get to the. Now it's time to get to the. Now it's time for fight. Now it's time for the to discuss the ideological currents at play. With so the surface, you're seeing the boats and the people swimming. Now it's getting too deep into the waters to talk about the current.
Go.
So in no particular order, democracy, I think, is a theme at play. Democracy is the belief that the power should be of the people, for the people, by the people. But the issue at play is that money and power talks. We have Elon Musk here, who is a tech billionaire, owner of X. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, social media platforms. And he is using his power and influence to weigh in on this matter, and it is an issue. And you, I want you to weigh in on this because you described Musk as a new Rupert Murdoch. Maybe tell us more about that, because I think that's a very important topic.
I do feel that, and it really goes down to why I do media. And the joke is my initials are the same as Rupert Murdoch, RM. You know what I'm saying? So
you're trying to be the new RM.
New RM. I've been around for a while, man's been controlling media and gospel, and I came out and come back in, but now, sorry, hopefully nobody don't sample, clip that. But I realised that doing media is you have control. When I did events called GR, when I did GR Live, I realised the reason why it's one of its greatest reasons for its success was the fact that basically dare I say, it sounds wrong, but I owned the biggest marketing platform or media platform there was, which was Gospel Inc. magazine, which I utilised to advertise his product, because we was printing 20,000 copies of his magazine, going all around the country, hitting, you can imagine 10,000, 12,000 magazines hitting London, hitting that there, and it has, you're bringing over, oh my gosh, the truth. Bringing over, look great. You're bringing over
Big up this guy, though.
Mali Music, Lisa McLennan. So I utilised this platform so I knew that. But then what I could do is, which I didn't do, you can manipulate who's big artists, because people approach you and you can say, I'm not going to put you in the front, I'm going to put you in front because I prefer you. You can literally manipulate things through media. So then I realised the power of the guys like Rupert Murdoch at the time. He owned a number of companies. Remember Maxwell? I don't know if you remember. No, but that's before your time though. Maxwell. I don't know if you heard of
singer?
No. Sorry, guys. There's a Maxwell who he died he's another tycoon. I think he owned the Sun paper or something. Maxwell, but you got all these tycoons. These guys, media, just driving stories, driving narratives, and it's just like what you see in Spider-Man, driving story. When you see the guy that hates Spider-Man, he did everything to make Spider-Man look bad. You know what I'm saying? So he drove a narrative. Even when you give pictures that Spider-Man was doing good, he will delete that and show what he wants to reflect, because he doesn't personally like Spider-Man. So when you go into now Elon Musk now, he's already a rich kid. His wealth was developed from mines in Botswana. Do your research, You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So if you know Botswana's got some diamonds, you know what I mean? But fortunately, due to being in the right place at the right time for a lot of Europeans, about 50 to 80 years ago, you seem to acquire lands with precious stones in Africa, but that's a whole nother thing. Got money, so now his generational wealth, which we struggle to deal with as a community, has now end up with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk has the power to buy a platform which kicked out Donald Trump for his blatant Donald Trump statements, and has brought back Donald Trump and actually loosened the belt when it comes to politically correctness online, because it went really strict. Twitter was when he just came.
I think this is one of his motivations to buy Twitter, because which is now called X.
So X now is, and the thing is, if you really want to have freedom of speech, he's actually technically right the way.
Doesn't freedom of speech mean freedom to lie? Does lying? No. Wait. No. One thing at a time. Roger. We're talking about how money and power. We'll get to
he has the power now.
Wait. We got money and power. How it affects our democracy.
So a man with money. Talk about that. So a man with money can't afford Elon Musk cannot afford. And he has to push the narrative.
And let me also add the spanner again with Musk. I know we're talking about the very serious issue of the grooming scandal, but just a side note, I think Elon Musk and Nigel Farage, I think there was a plan for Elon Musk to give some funding to Nigel Farage's Reform Party, but I think they had a falling out. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't know the exact details as to why. But again, he's wielding his resources to influence our political system, which in theory should be for the people, by the people, for the people. If these politicians are beholden to these powerful people, then do we really live in a democracy? That's theme number one. I think democracy is a big one. So, have you got anything more about? Because we have got more.
Yeah. But the thing is, would you just a question now? If Elon Musk came along and said, you know what, you see this mouthy guys go off here, I said, yo, this, I'm gonna make this Affinity Xtra big, you know. Yeah, say.
Imagine if he knocks at your door.
You can say, Roger, I'm gonna give you a Tesla,
guys. Be gone.
And I said, yo, but I got a full-time job for you here. Would you trust be taken over like that?
Well, if Elon Musk, if this is a gospel show of black origin, and he buys it, that means that he will also weigh in as to the tone and the tenor and the values of the company that he's bought. So Affinity Xtra could be a different. It might not align vision. It might not align with the vision that you have primarily if you're the one who bought it, because it would. If he owns this company, then the company will reflect his
unless
image. Of course there is an agreement, of course, like both have to stick to that he will not wage influence on the ideological direction of this organization.
No, that's massive, because then you've just confirmed my motive, and it's nothing against BBC Africa. There's nothing against all the so-called black BET that have been taken over by people with a bigger agenda.
Money talks.
You were saying. I mean, so that means
newsflash. Wait.
Newsflash. They don't really reflect.
Do you know who newsflash? Like, not even
you
just
watch Boondocks, innit?
That stuff. But not just media. I mean, Black Lives Matter was funded by white leftist Marxists. It was funded by and large
the organization.
The organization. So what I'm talking about is the idea that our democracy is as democratic as it could be. It's something that we need to question, bearing in mind the powers that be waging influence with their money and the power and the prestige and the fame. And what does that say what does it mean about my vote? We talked about this on WhatsApp. Actually, we'll get into that.
We just warming up.
So theme number one, democracy. Democracy, and the fact that powerful people like Elon Musk can weigh in on our society's conversation because of the power and the prestige that he has. And I think that has a big effect on the genuineness of our democracy. And Murdoch, who has been a prolific figure prior to him, he has proved time and time again by buying all these newspapers that, he's just we're just getting a spewing of his ideologies. And so even the news that we read, we need to question. This is why we're doing this show, because the news that we are reading, we need to question it, because whereas journalism was supposed to be very objective, it's very blatant now that it's agenda. There's an agenda. Even us at Affinity, we'll be honest, we are gospel, music of black origin.
It's blank spaces.
So that's we haven't. We can go more into that, but there are more themes that we would like to discuss that I think undergird this this issue.
Yeah. Sorry guys, go.
You know us. We can go. If you know this, if you know us, you know us by now. But anyway, second theme, Roger.
Go.
Multiculturalism.
Okay, cool.
Multiculturalism. Now,
what does that mean?
What's the definition? So critics of multiculturalism define multiculturalism that. Let me land. I know, Roger, you're very trigger happy, but let me land.
Go.
So multiculturalism is this. The critics of multiculturalism are not critics of different people coming to this country. They say they're not critics of having people
of different color
come to this country. But it's a fact that people come from all over the world, and there's no sense of integration in this country. And so people live...
What's integration? Assimilation. Is integration assimilation to things? So if I come in this country and I'm wearing some Kenyan clothes, yeah? So I'm wearing my Kenyan clothes, yeah? I'm wearing my Kenyan clothes. By the way, people, I'm not Kenyan. No, DNA will work that out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming in here with my Kenyan clothes. It's clearly different to the clothes around me, yeah? Is changing into...
I don't think...
Are they looking at visual or they're talking about...
I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that. I think it's deeper than that. I mean, the very idea. Cool. I mean, just look at our towns and cities. You don't have to ask me.
Yeah.
It seems that. By the way, I'll also talk about the hypocrisy of the very critics. So allow me to. So the critics of multiculturalism is that people from all over the world, fair enough, they come here and they make their home here. It's just that different cultural groups live in their own silos, and there is not that sense of what it means to be British, to the point that you even have far-right figures or described as far-right figures as Toby Robinson asking themselves, where does Islam and Islamic culture and Islamic religion, is it compatible with, and that's a very good discussion to have, with respect, of course, with respect, is Islamic culture compatible with British culture? And also, I think we've gone so far as to now come to the point where we actually don't know what it means to be British. If you were to describe... No.
Go.
That's what the...
I'm just exploding in my head there. Just
At the same token, here's the hypocrisy.
Go.
So a lot of people are... let me land, because I'm going to be balanced.
Go land.
I'm going to be balanced.
It's a go.
At the same token, even while I discuss this with those who criticize multiculturalism in this country, they fail to mention that the British people who are experts in other countries, say Spain and Africa, will not integrate in. I mean, if you go to Tenerife, you would think that you're in England. It's just that it's hot. You know what I mean? Because they, again, much like
Australia,
much like the people. Let me finish. Much like the people here, they do their own thing, and they there's no that sense of this integration. The allegation, the accusation that there is lack of integration and assimilation into quote-unquote British culture. The same is happening with the very experts who go to various countries and create a little cohort of their own. And so it's a bit hypocritical, whereas that could be something worth discussing. They do not go far as to even criticizing the experts themselves, to tell them to quote-unquote, do as a Roman do. Like, if you're a Roman, be a Roman citizen, quote unquote. So that is another theme there, that a lot of people are saying that there's some aspects of Islam or Islamic culture that is quite fairly not compatible with British culture. For example, Islamic culture not being compatible with quote unquote Western values is the fact that in Islam you can have more than one wife. I think you can have up to 5. Whereas in the Western culture you can only marry one. And if you want to marry another one, you go divorce that one and marry another one. So that is a very small, minuscule example of this issue that has been raised of incompatibility. So Roger, I mean, now you can. No.
It's again, I do, and this is not to say that.
And also, let me say, my critics to the critics of multiculturalism is converging. Yeah, they need to be careful not to paint all Muslims with a paintbrush. Because I got Muslim friends and you got Muslim friends.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some lovely, dope people. And, you know, if you raise this about so-and-so, this so-and-so, they would be vocally opposed and even against this scandals and etc. In fact, you know, when you hear of a terrorist attack, many Muslims will distance themselves and say,
We don't
I'm not
do
that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And even let's be honest, even us as Christians, we have our own scandals, and we need to vocally stand up and say we're that's not Team Jesus. That's not what Jesus is about. That's a them problem. That's not a Jesus problem. They're not representative of Christ, you know. And this is actually why this is why a lot of people fall off the faith, because of misrepresentation of Christianity. And Muslims will say the same. Look, we just want to get on with life, worship as we would like, and, you know, be citizens. And so it seems like the brush against Islamic culture. So yeah, we need to be careful not to paint a broad stroke, as we wouldn't want it for us as Christians or as black people. Oh, I got a tracksuit, so I must be a hoodlum. You know, so but anyway, Roger, you can rap on about, you know, what you feel about this second theme about multiculturalism and integration and assimilation before we get on to the other theme.
So just wouldn't be knocking out, man. But what I will say about multiculturalism, I think let's people talk about look at Bible times. Yeah, you've got a very diverse area. Yeah, where we commonly call the Middle East, where we see where Israel is. You've got a convergence of African people. You got of people from Southern Asia, where you got one of the biggest trade routes plowing through this arena. You've got the last people group to rise up, which people forget, which is the Europeans just coming into their rights. Yeah, so this got an area which has from every color on earth multiculturalism, and I think there wasn't a fault. It wasn't the focal point wasn't to attack other faiths. When you look at the early gospel, I didn't see them talk of. Yes, you could say they kicked away idols, and all his business. You could argue that, but I didn't feel. I felt truth was going to set you free, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really about, oh, you do this faith, because there was a lot of faiths at the time. There's a lot of religions, a lot of gods. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There wasn't spending. How do you fight against the goddess of Venus? How do you fight against Zeus? How do you fight against, you know what I mean? The current
gods. It was a fight for truth, not a fight for. It wasn't a cultural supremacy.
We serve a true living God. Yeah, we don't business whether you're from Ethiopia, which was Africa. You know what I'm saying? Not Ethiopia, as we see now, Africa. It was everywhere. So for me, it's a case of if you fearful of other cultures, that shows you how weak you are. Yeah. And end of the day, Britain has spent hundreds of years, and other European nations, pushing their ways, saying that it's the best on the world.
Yeah, history. Yeah.
But then historically, before that, when the trade routes were developing by Europeans, they were taking the best from all around the world. You got to think about it. Look at Rome. If you look at Rome now, if you just got Europe, forget Africa, because you always, they have buildings that are still up, aqueducts and stuff like that, that are still there today. That was built in Roman times. What was going? Imagine they had running water, bro. In Jesus' time, running water in a city. Rome, no city has overtaken the size of Rome at its peak until 1800s London. You know what I'm saying? That shows you how backward the Dark Ages was, when Europe was licked by the black, you know what I mean, certain things like that. So for me, it's a case of, if you're so scared, I'm not scared to talk with a Muslim, but if I'm fearful because I'm not strong in my faith, I would tell him, don't come in my room, or take off your clothes, go wear what I'm wearing, because you're just not secure. And let's be real, this country isn't a Christian country as it should be. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you're fearful of other people coming in, because you're not even strong in your own faith that you should be owning.
Roger, let me ask you a question.
Go. That's just me.
I've got a question here, and I've written it now.
I'm just throwing out thought processes.
Okay. So, we are aware of history, and I know you're very big on history. So let me ask you, and I'll read it out for you. Roger, does the historical past nullify today's criticisms of lack of integration in British society? So does the fact that Britain has a dark history nullify any commentator's desire today to talk about current
situations,
particularly the apparent lack of integration in our multi ethnic British society? Please tell me, weigh in on that. Does the historical past nullify criticisms of today's lack of quote-unquote integration in British society?
Wow, I would say, why does Germany still have to be quiet in a room when it talks about using guns? Because history of a German nation, they still currently politically and currently very quiet when it comes to weaponry. When it came to Ukraine, because of its historic of their history, you come to the table knowing that I can't talk to gun ho because of my history in Europe. So if Germany is conscious of when they talk about war of World War I and II and know what really happened, today they still be very careful. If you watch the news, when Ukraine came out and they had to give out weapons, it was a very cagey thing because of their history. So they come into the room in knowledge. So you cannot turn around to me and say you cannot bring history. If I've stolen, if I done something to you 5 years ago, I still have, and then I come to you because I need something from you. I don't come into you with a fresh situation. I have to come and look at, okay, this is what I did 5 years ago. I have to come in the room different. I'm not saying I'll apologize. I'm not saying how I'll come in because I might have apologized 5 years ago, but I have to come in with a certain amount of angle. That's how people operate.
Are you saying then? Are you saying that it is not that you have an issue with people talking about these things, but to also be wary of the historical context? Right? Because if Nigel Farage just comes out and you know, these immigrants, blah 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 blah, without being wary of where they came from, you feel that is just a bit too blindsided.
Question is, why they come in here? Listen, this is the question is, why are everybody coming to Europe? Why is everybody coming to Europe?
Economic opportunity.
The mess ups that Europe has done for the past 100 years has meant that you cannot earn. So France has bought uranium at stupid prices, meaning that that the French Africans who are digging the uranium, only if for example the price of uranium was £1, just call it £1, you know what I'm saying, they are being given 0.1 pence.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't allow local wealth to rise up, but yet the people on top, and there's always an African body there in the gateway. Don't get it twisted. I know it's not just straight France. France has to go there under a face, and there's always one guy to sell out. So the sellout,
usually the heads of state, usually the powers that be, who actually sometimes the Western governments do covert means to put them there. Say for example Mobutu Sese Seko, he worked closely with the CIA to kill Patrice Lumumba, a very well-loved politician. Okay, but Roger, we have a lot of things.
Wait, click that out just in case the CIA catches.
Roger.
I'll send you his address.
We have a lot of things to discuss, but I need to press on you on this.
Go.
So, yes and amen. The Western world has done a lot of things that, you know, because of the Western world, that's why we have the Western world and the third world, quote unquote. Yes and amen. Yes and amen. Yes and amen. So, because of that present circumstances, are you saying that the people who live in this country should keep stum on the issues that they have observed? That what you're saying is the criticism of multiculturalism, that they have no right to speak about this because of the historical context.
No, it's how you talk about it.
How you talk about it.
It's not. You got no right. You know. You know what I'm saying? You talk with manners and respect. It's like Macron, the way he talked about the African nations kicking them out.
We talked about this yesterday.
So like for me, it's a case of, listen, bro, talk with respect.
Yeah.
Of, you know what I mean? Like I said, you can't talk about, what we did in World War One. Who was there as cannon fodder? Senegalese soldiers. Who was there occupying Germany and mixing with the locals? Senegalese soldiers after World War One. The evidence is there.
Okay.
And who was testing their children?
Okay.
We're getting tested by Hitler.
Yeah.
Sorry, people. I watch too much.
So let's go. Let's hold back. Let's hold back. Yeah, because these are themes, cool. Right? Yeah. Let's not forget. Just to bring it back, we're talking about the grooming scandal and the ideological spectrum at play. We've talked about money and power affecting our democratic process. We've just concluded with multiculturalism.
Come on.
And the critics of it saying that multiculturalism is not working in the country. And we've talked about that quite extensively. I really like your perspective, Roger, and I think it's needed. So let's move on.
Cool. No, we got to.
Let's move on.
Time's going.
Let's move on. Another theme here is law and order. The role of the police and the state in this issue. On paper, the role of the police, by and large, as corrupt as they can be, yes, the police not perfect.
There's
by any
corruption
means,
and there's goodness.
But the role of the police is to keep law and order, to protect the innocent and to punish the guilty. But we know, and I know, even beyond this topic that we're discussing today, that is not always the case. That the police have been, across our Western democracies, UK, USA, Kenya, wherever, there are many times where the police have gone too far, or not gone far.
Leave poor communities, not just black communities, poor communities have been poorly served by the police. Yeah, so certain areas you won't see them, and certain areas you do see them. Yeah, where there's money, you see them, and when you don't see them, people can say,
So there is accusation that
I'm not saying police are bad,
in a bid to quench, I don't know the exact word, in a bid to ease to keep racial tensions at bay, so that there could be no spark of conflict within our societies, that they will not pursue justice. I've been watching it even before this show. I've been watching, and in fact, even the stories that we hear, we need to question. I believe in questioning everything, but what I've seen from a conservative media outlet Instagram page, GB News, he was speaking to a dad who was raising this issue. I don't remember the details of it, about his daughter being affected by this and how he took action. And rather than the police taking action on what he reported, he was being incriminated for that very same thing.
Well, it shows who's in the pocket or not.
So police corruption is a theme here.
No.
Police corruption could be a theme here.
Let's be 100, about this. And no offense, please, you can challenge me on this, But when we watch the movies, and there's corruption everywhere in every establishment, from church to police to politics. There's corruptions everywhere, And I'm just sorry if I just broke down your perfect perspective of this world. But there's police on the take, not only in the US but in the UK. There's police, there's pastors, and there's members, there's deacons, and I go to church because that's I'm talking the most holiest place, and there's people on the so-called take, covering their eyes with total injustices. I've heard, seen, and I've seen the effects of that. That's a whole other ideology. But the thing is, and what we have to recognize here is that let's open our eyes to the fact that the corruption in the police, to know that the officers are in certain spaces. Press the button because so and so's got links to the council and you can't press these buttons. Let's be real, that these buttons are these things, and they've been told, don't put your pressure on here, put your pressure on here because it looks good on the on the politics. Police, if you're watching, I'm not saying like NWA something the police, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that because of humanity, the humans we are, yeah, is that unfortunately these cases can happen as long as there's money. This is a trade, bro. This is not just grooming. There's a trade going on. There's money being exchanged. It's an industry itself.
And and you're saying that one could argue that this necessitates a national inquiry, which is what the current Keir Starmer government is opposed to. They are leaving this issue to be invested in local government situations, local councils. And in fact, even your sister described this issue as something that is systemic. So how can something that is systemic arguably how can something systemic could be something that, if something is systemic, why is it being just dealt with at the local level? Because it's not just the perpetrators.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's an argument. I'm trying to be very fair on all sides, because again, but to do an inquiry, the outcome we're not going to hear till 2031. And so Starmer's saying it's going to take a long time. I want to get to the point now, but you know. And also another thing is, a national inquiry means that anyone who comes to be a witness will come under oath. So if you're lying and you get found out,
listen, bro.
You know what I mean? But so the fact that we're not doing that, you know, but that's something at play. That's something I think at play. But have you got any other thing? Have you got anything to discuss about that before we get into another theme?
Yeah, let's hit another theme, because we've got 10 minutes left before the podcast starts.
Okay, so two more. Okay, three more themes, and then we'll do it. Okay, so human rights. I mean, that's just clear to see. Human rights. The fact that we as humans we're upset by this news because there is an intrinsic impulse that tells us how we should treat people. And to hear this story, I don't care who you are, you would be appalled. There's something called human rights. And for me, as a Christian, it derives from the fact that whether you recognize it or not, we are made in God's image and likeness. And so if that's the case, we're supposed to treat each other with dignity and respect. And this is a whole opposite of that. And I think this is why this news story has captured much attention, because it's a story of human rights. It's a story of human dignity. We cannot treat humans as animals across the board. We can't. We're supposed to respect one another. We are made in God's image, Genesis 1. And God even though we are broken, God has demonstrated his love to humanity by Christmas Day, sending his son to redeem. And so there's something, whether you're Christian or not, watching or not watching, there's something intrinsic in our impulse, whether we deny it or not. We are human, and to hear someone being mistreated, if we see someone mistreated on the road, it will, because it's intrinsic in us. And so this is, I think, why this is such something that upsets people and captures people, because we're talking about, this is the theme of human dignity is very blatant and at play, and rightfully so, because it's intrinsic. It's so intrinsic that I even forgot to write it, because you have to think, why is this capturing us? Because we're human, and being human means something, doesn't it, Roger?
Right, you said. I thought. Don't get wrong. Everything you said, I totally agree with. Yeah. Why this is the case? But you sound like what you said sounds like, and it's nothing wrong with what you said and how it sounded. Like a preacher talking idealistic at the end of a Sunday morning service. The reality of it, bro. Working in homes, yeah. Don't. That's the idealistic perfection of.
Yeah, but I said this is why people are upset.
No, there ain't reason why people are upset. Not everybody's upset. Yeah, let's be real.
Okay, okay.
That should be the reason why people should be upset. But that's idealistic. Realistically, when I worked in the care home system, and you hear stories of mothers needing money for drugs, and then passing on their child into these rings as well. You know what I mean? This is real things that are happening today. You know what I'm saying? To this day, everyone thinks it's a thing that happens in third world countries. No, it happens to white people. Yeah, I mean, and black people and Asian people, they're first for hunger. Why they want these drugs? Yeah, these drugs is all about somebody making money. You know what I'm saying? And this whole money, just this whole so-called criminal thing is all fed into different things, and you don't think that drugs is only something that supplies to people outside the police force. There's people, unfortunately, who are addicted to that in these systems. So everyone's got something on somebody on something, and this is when sin unravels. This is when I see the corruption of man just crash out. I am not justifying what's going on. All I'm saying, that's idealistic what you said, but the realistic scenario is that mothers are allowing their daughters to be groomed. They're allowing their sons to be groomed so they can get paid off. I've seen people in primary school get put in care because that was in the house. Not 17, 18, 13, 14 year olds. I'm seeing babies, and it's so heartbreaking. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? And the system doesn't protect them girls, and them girls, unfortunately, because they have such a low value of their body, they are actually ripe to be again taken a mickey out of when they're 16.
And what I'm pointing to is that intrinsic impulse, and that's why this story has captured, the media landscape, and because of that intrinsic impulse of that, yes, idealistically, we should be treating people right, but we're not. But let's move on to the next one. The last one, and it's a good one, Roger.
Go on.
Free speech versus misinformation, right? So, backstory, Elon Musk buys Twitter because I think one of the reasons was he could see the idea of free speech being devalued with case examples of, say, President Donald Trump being removed from Twitter because of the things that he said. And so, in fact, even Keir Starmer has smeared Elon Musk's accusations as mere quote-unquote misinformation. And so the idea of free speech, should we regulate speech? If someone is telling a lie on social media, are they free to do so? I mean, what does freedom of speech mean? Because I know there's some people across the board who believe that there has to be some regulation, but then is it really free if it's regulated? Roger, what's your thoughts on that? On the idea of free speech? What is free speech? How should we navigate? How should we navigate that?
So I think it's great to have free speech. I think it's great to have perspectives. I like watching podcasts where people have free speech. I respect people's opinions, but you have to respect mine. I feel that it's great, but I do feel that you have to respect each other in the arguments. I like watching debates, so I'm probably the worst person to ask because I like hearing other perspectives. I think
misinformation. I'm just playing as Dr. Zed. What about lies? What about misinformation?
Misinformation.
What should we do with that? Should we let them run? Should we let them just do what they do? What should we do?
Well, there's
about
truth.
misinformation?
The sad thing is there's truth in everything. Yeah. Our truth is sometimes misinformed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's not until we debate, and this is why we have a lot of struggles in our faith, because we follow our idealistic viewpoint when we first get saved, and then when we dig into it, there's a lot of, that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That ain't right. If you look at a lot of for example, we talk, thus saith the Lord, yeah? But when you look at, we're quick to say, the Council of Nicaea, and we talk about them councils. But them councils were set up so Christian leaders can actually chop up and spend weeks, days, months, and years right up to right up to Arminians versus Calvin. They chopped it up for a while, but these days we just go, God told me this, and we just do it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And we just do things, and it's clearly that, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a case of misinformation. Sometimes misinformation to me is really the truth, because I'm only my truth is actually misinformed. Just say no, because the thing is, a lot of times your truth is what you've been born into. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm not saying
we are born with everyone when you are born into a family.
Yeah.
By and large, until you maybe grow up, you you will adopt the lens of that by which people see that family until you think otherwise. Say, for example, my brothers, they were born in a Christian family, and they decided to maybe move on from the faith. So there is because the issue of truth, because that's what I think the issue is. What is what is the truth?
What is the truth?
Pilate asked Jesus, "What is the truth?" And that's a very, very important question, because in a world where we are proponents of free speech, and people can just set up a podcast and run amok and say all lots of things, it's very hard to decipher the truth. Which is why we, just like my friend at church said, we need to. Whatever we read, you got the BBC or I don't know Sky News to even question what we are reading, because again we have. I look at truth. It looks to the previous theme that we discussed about the press, how it's beholden by say Aruba Murdoch or Elon Musk, and you will see it evident that their bias is evident, but then it's perceived as truth. And so we need to learn to be we need, myself included, we need to have a quest, maybe to find out the truth and to go beyond the headlines. Being aware of these things that we just discussed.
I 100%. I know we got to close off now. What I will say, there is a lot of spaces out there for before you bring something to try out, have a look at different perspectives. Sometimes when I do check out this stuff, unfortunately what's happening going on in Palestine and Israel, I don't just look at what's happening in the Middle East from a European lens. I look at Al Jazeera and see how does Al Jazeera see it. I look at German news. How do they see it? I look at French news, how they reported it. I look at African news, how they look at. I look at the BBC, how they presented it. I look at American news, how they're presenting it. So I just look at different. I'm not saying that's a great way. I'm just giving an example of different perspective. Al Jazeera look at the occupation of Palestine differently to how Sky News or America looks at it or whatsoever. So for me, it's good.
That's the world that we live in.
And I watch GBN. I watch GBN. You know what I mean? I watch
GB News. But because to get to the truth, because with a myriad of different perspectives, I think there's one time that Elon Musk retweeted about a certain individual in the UK who got arrested for saying something dodgy. And at first glance, you'll be like, oh, that's unfair. Until you get into the story about who that guy really was, the guy who got arrested, and you realize that he was a far-right Nazi sympathizer. But here's the point. We have a tendency, myself included, to read a Twitter like that, and rather than investigate, we get triggered.
Yeah.
Because I got triggered. I was like, hey, just for saying something, you should. And then you dig into that name and you're like, because that's what my friend did. He dug into that name. It's like, this person has a history.
Piece of work.
And so, listen.
Allow a laziness to do a laziness to research, and this is what this program is all about. It's knocking us out of laziness and getting us to actually challenge each other in
challenge perspectives.
Challenges in there, man. But yeah, man, bro, love for that, man. Today, 2025. Here we go, man. Here we go.
Thank you for watching the content we're putting out. Listen, make sure that you are liking, subscribing and following us on all our social channels, including patreon.com. Make sure you're finding us on there to support what we do so we can support you. And remember, guys, be extra.